What makes a trail? The stone steps cut through the wilderness, or the people who tread along its path? Especially a trail that stretches over 400 kilometers. From Taoyuan in the north of Taiwan to the southern tip of Taichung at the island's center. A route cutting across a mountainous land of Hakka clans and indigenous tribes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is樟之細路. Oh, and this is the English.
So we basically just have to follow the yellow and blue signs, and we get there.
A trade artery for camphor and tea goods in centuries long past that was once a lifeline, as well as a corridor of conflict between the different peoples.
This is so beautiful, though, isn't
it is.
Is it even possible to unearth the stories of this forgotten history, as Taiwan rediscovers this passageway after nearly 100 years?
You know what?
Danny, you're a Hakka.
Yeah, right, I'm Hakka.
客家人.
We are two travelers trying to do just that.
My grandparents, they live in the Hsinchu Beibu, which is also in the mountain.
A bit further along.
Yeah, further along. And when
Danny looking to interpret his own Hakka heritage through locals still living along its tracks.
At that time, they have like a rice plantation and also tea.
For me, I want to put a face to these historic pathways with my photos. What will we find along the way?
Hi, Danny. So what have we got here then?
Okay, this is the most iconic Hakka cuisine. In Mandarin, we call lei cha.
Lei cha, so some kind of tea.
Yes.
Cha being tea.
Yes.
我係 Danny 溫士凱，我係新竹竹東鎮嘅社友。睇咧後來前面嘅讀書，佢轉咗以後發覺到客家嘅文化對我嚟講當重要，所以我開始去研究客家嘅文化。我本身係作家，我寫書，我做嘅垃圾肉嘅主持人。
I'm Chris Stowers. I'm an English photographer, and I've been living and working in Asia for the last 35 years. I've heard the word Hakka mainly because if I go out in Taipei to eat, sometimes people say, oh, let's go and have some Hakka food. I'm not really good at being able to define what is the specific Hakka ingredient here, apart from I know they got the stewed pork fat. Oh, sorry.
Okay, try this one. Main point with the Hakka culture is in this pork.
Is it cooked, marinated with something?
See,
do you think?
That's a key point. One of the Hakka very famous dish is a mei gan cai, which is fermented and then also like some dry first. The way they cook it is pretty much like a stew, but there always the twist. The twist is Hakka, whatever you find it, we try to blend ourselves in that culture, which means like in Taipei, we try to blend ourselves in Taipei modern culture. And the other thing is because our chef, you know, her background is also the Hakka, but from the south, and she studied abroad, and so she bring back, you know, new technique.
The different influences.
Yeah.
What is interesting for me as a photographer is how these traditional Hakka foods look no different from the cuisine you would find in modern restaurants, a sign that the culture is still keeping up with our times.
I like photographing food, but it's not my main job. My main job is people and places.
Oh.
But on the trail, what are the key features to look out for that identify those places as being Hakka settlements?
樟的细路啊，平常先讲啊，你开始谈到的些在想啊，哎，应该以后都该做个跟历史有关的东西。伊嘛啲因啊列只时代当中系有上演吼，对历史、温史田冇乜有兴趣，千百东西。可是你啊，我呢度去，我就发觉到，唔系，我当时系啲讲，该几条路历史的安用下，你也变容扮演，韩国变到容扮到该土地到。
What history books do tell us is that this old network of trails and passageways that stretch from Taoyuan Longtan in the north of Taiwan to Taichung in the south grew stone by stone across nearly 2 centuries as a supply route extending across mountains, forests, and plains. This trail was the original lifeline for Hakka and tribal communities to transport camphor and tea products from the fields to the ports at the north of the main island where they were shipped across the world. We make our way to the Sankeng Old Street of Longtan in the northern end of the trail to see if we can find any links of the past today. Many of the buildings here retain signboards that can be traced back to the Qing dynasty.
This is a very iconic old house in the past. When you see this, you knew exactly where the ancestors came from. 佢一定要看人來台灣，來台住來幾多台嘛？
我們從12歲。
Oh, see, I see. Whatever you ask,
They know.
Yeah, you ask the Hakka, they exactly know.
客家人哈，跟郑曼，
係啊，
看到闽南人哈，來台灣也賺到錢了哈。
天然啦，
來到他平的被人家佔起來，都是佔的。客家人都去了山上。
Yeah.
That's the origin of the Raknus Selu Trail, basically, from that realization, the Hakka people trying to make a living in this area.
The Hakkas prospered in a way they did not expect when they took to the mountains, working with the local tribes to become some of the wealthiest communities along the trail. The symbols of that golden era still stand today.
So how old has a place like this been?
Yes, it's more than 100 years. Actually, the Law family in this here, they are big family.
Yeah.
But in the old time, you know, they're very important. So you see that in pretty much this whole area, they all related together.
And
everybody's last name is a Law. Yes.
Is this similar to architecture that you can see in China, where the Hakka people came from? So they brought that
I would say
style?
they're pretty much like a southern part, like a Canton, Hokkien, you know, that area.
Canton and Hokkien.
Yeah, because most of the Taiwan, you know, ancestors, you know, we came from over there.
Yeah.
I need Danny with me on this trip. He's got a great knowledge, encyclopedic knowledge of Hakka history, and is very proud and can trace his ancestors back, like many Hakka people can, tens, dozens of generations back, which is something that we sort of lost in where I come from.
Mr. Law, yes, he's the owner.
He's my guide and the key to unlocking the mystery of the people that we meet along the way.
Belong to Law family.
Yeah, belong to Law family.
The guardian of
So
this was your family's
family house.
You're the descendant of the famous Law family.
Yeah. Actually, before here is more like a private school. That's the 15th generation. So I'm the 19th generation. Yeah. So the house was built by the 15th generation. And when we come here, Guanxi, it was like 11 or 12 generation. That's over 200 years ago that we come here.
200 years ago, it's the Qing dynasty.
Yeah.
Hakka culture, education is very important. The family, they might working very hard, but they want their children, you have to focus on the education.
This emphasis on education goes beyond just books, and it is deeply woven into the fabric of everyday life.
请问一下，这个是扬琴？对，它是以前八音里面用的那个扬琴吗？
现在八音用的是小扬琴。是
小扬琴，所以跟这个
现在就是已经改良。
是改良式的大扬琴了。哦 ，OK。这个是二胡对不对 ？OK.
This one coming out of the base of the.
This one is the most important because we call here my grandma and my grandpa that generation. You know, it's everyone they can have this at home. Every time when my grandpa, you know, play this instrument, in Hakka we call ai hian. It's the motion. You do this motion.
Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of sound you hear there is been passed down for 1,000 years. So every time when you talk about the Hakka music, you will definitely hear that. Yeah.
It seems like the Hakkas are not content with simply reminiscing the past. It makes me wonder, are others finding new ways to help a new generation identify with this heritage? Danny and I travel to an important segment of the trail, not far from the House of Law. We find out that for the last few years, volunteers from an association have been hard at work. Not only are they restoring the steps and stones of the old passageway, they're reviving the path for new travelers to discover.
Yeah, so we're in Guangxi and we're at the beginning of a small but significant section of the trail. And one thing for sure, it's very wet today, but we're going along with some people from the 1,000 Mile Association. These guys have been right from the start helping to map and to organize and stabilize the routes that in Taiwan that can be traveled by foot, including the Raknus Selu Trail.
你家在做乜嘅？
本來喺個軍事啊，偏嘅人有來前嚟呢千里拖啊，因為一條路已經冇係80年啦，我來前一條路，所以呢嗰時就要來停呢鄉下來前路啦。
So Ming-Chen is she's a pretty tough lady, I think. She's the one who seems to be the boss, organising this whole section. She's actually from South Taiwan, and like down in Kaohsiung, Pingdong area. She's in the very far south of the country. She's a Hakka person herself.
大概都以前嘅全球變成嘅十博，
係，你係十博啊！我哋先買，因為我先買寫些大新竹嘅北部，係，我上當年睇嘅啦，嗬，所以我上當從下看，我哋行嘅路是安樣嘅路。
呢都係應該變成嘅啲人能做嘅啊。
你打做嘅啊？
帶職工嚟做嘅。
可是你係有上嘅。哦，你係有上因為做？
冇，其實我係去美國，去美國同人學。
去美國？人家客家人結十博咁厲害，竟就做到啲賣米嘅。
其實差唔多。有嘅嗬，都係有幾條路地方，再嚟都係有嘅最困難，但係冇地方好行
啊。係啲嘅。哦，
但係本來有嘅路嗬係綁起嘅，都按嚟行過去嘅，變成有嘅田城係本來以前嘅老人家做嘅石條，啊，有嘅都係有一擺嗬，有人哋嘅步道石田。大下，一石條聽起來，
慢慢貼起起來嘅時候嘅。They rebuilt this one. They use exactly same kind of technique. Yeah, yeah. This one is the old one. This one is the new one.
Hang on there, Danny.
啊，落到水，啊，就當生詞到嗰邊咧。不過嗬，落水還有隻好處嘛呢？你是第個嗬，千百人嘅拄到落水嘅難過嘛？到嗰邊咧，行人嗰些阿媽每響到嗰邊咧嗬，發覺到千百人哋老祖宗啊，人哋其他嗬嘅阿媽厲害到嘅。
本來做嘢嘅。
You need to take a photo.
Oh, okay.
明天人在翕相呢。
哦，因为人哋顺下嘅路嘅時候，都會看到有某個地方可以補嘅，我從下嘅地方都會補一個石條。
That one we see all the road is like an ancient knowledge. It's different.
We learn the 1,000 Mile Association spent 4 years uncovering the original trail. What started as a project to create a trekking route soon became an exercise in understanding the lives of the early settlers who carved their way through the mountain landscape.
I see it written in English, Raknus Selu. That's how I would say it.
Yeah.
How would you pronounce?
有個名有一個故事，佢會講有一條路嗬，因為要開採樟樹嘛嗬，都有族群嘅衝突，所以嗰時都有條路嘅名誒都想講有太陽曬下，還有客家嘅元素喺底部，有個樟這個在太陽跟曬下，他們就是分別用了一個字，就是一個是 Raknus， 然後一個好像是 Raknus。对 ，Raknus， 然后那2個加起來呢，就是 Raknus。
Early settlers had to build the trail using rocks and stones abundant in the area. Their methods were passed down by word of mouth to a select few. 83-year-old trail master Luo Jirong still practices the traditional method of fording stones to create embankments. We're unable to watch his technique at work as the wet weather has flooded the riverbanks. But I'm going to take his portrait for my book.
當到事情嗬，一台穿過一台，佢就嘅土地到台灣咧。佢當然按他新嘅一台，假使你唔好漢白影響就個嚴重那個，雖然講當有線，可是你花很好多嘅錢，很好多嘅時間去驗記。
As luck would have it, we did not have to look far. Coming with Danny has tremendous advantages. Having grown up here, he has an instinctive feel for the lay of the land. One of his contacts gives us a lead to another old master, who is still making stone steps for paths the traditional way.
我跟你啊，做俾大看咧。
唔係係啦，我哋在看大河，我那是可以讓你去打看。好，看打得快冇啊？
好啊，好啊，好。
但是我沒有100%把握。
好，500。
打不破的話，那就丟臉了啊。
So Danny, what's the idea here?
Yeah, he's showing us to demonstrate. You know, see, that's in the old time. You know how he done this. You know.
I better get some photographs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because you don't see this very often nowadays.
Is he trying to basically crack the rock?
你考慮嘅是考慮只空田呀，因為規則嘅嘛石鼓。
我也可啦。為你係空啊，等下啲石場甚至係打落去，讓用嘅太風吹去炸，
降落去幾下時位。
幾時會變？
哦 ，Yes. Yeah. I think you are right. Yeah, because they hit the 3 hole over there. Yeah, then they
get the weaponry out, the big armory.
Your English very good.
Oh, your English is very good. You are going
I don't know.
So you see that in the old day, right? Yeah. It's very rough everywhere, right? So that's why they use the rock to make it like a step, and also like a It's like a
platform or something.
Yeah, like a platform. It's easy to walk in or something like that.
你以前的农业社会哈，蛮有机械啊。你像你都开这个山上的田啊，哈，都是用人力啊。古时代是罗斯福是穿那里都来，攞去打水仗啦，移走啊。蒙伊都喺表面都喺天可以唔會傷。你哋是有機械，怪獸嘟，啊大家想講下唔樣。
I'm going to try.
You're going to try?
Yeah, because see, it's very.
You want to try with this one?
I was thinking.
That one. Yeah. Okay.
我用手呢係啊。
係啦。
Okay.
有啲雕凿，喺度就話簽。
I see. 哇 ！I've been doing this for 3 hours, man. Oh my God, 3 hours.
哦，應該是放半看哈。
好，冇問題。好。哇！
不要绕开哦，哈！
哎呦，看到吗？哇
Look at that, yeah, yeah.
哦，
Wow.
可以啊，
你看下个，
对啊，
呀，
要挖空啊，难啊。
The thing that I thought was quite familiar was his hands. And I immediately thought of the hands of my father. My father is a welder, a builder. His fingers are really huge, much huger than mine. All I do is pick up the camera, but Mr. Fan has got this heavy sledgehammer and chisels, and his hands have grown by dint of accidents and, you know, bruises and calluses. And so I didn't feel at all strange in this environment. It's a long way from my home, but it was very familiar.
我係在新竹竹東嘅時候啊，從社屋卡嗬係大概竹東鎮嘅嘅系統方面呢，我講啊，其實佢嘅歷史對北部嘅山當呢仲差，塗了樹，做了邊，做了條路，發覺到上係我嘅看看啊，因為對面嘅世界上漸漸發覺到客家文化對我來講就會很重要。
In line with Danny's desire to find a different take on the traditions he remembers, we travelled to Beipu, further down the trail. The settlement used to be a boomtown for Hakka tea merchants. Known as Formosa tea in reference to the island's old namesake, Taiwan has been a major exporter of oolong and even red tea since the late 1800s. Beipu was once a major part of this tea industry. Today, only very few plantations remain.
今年的春茶上2个礼拜采的。
你第二屆買咧，阿公冇記得係做蠻過來呢邊嘅，祖先係做蠻來嘅。
我算第7代嘛。
第7代係啊。
阿公嘅阿公啊，那個雙語。我的祖先來差不多1850年來到北部啦。 先到糯米，茶沟邊嗰邊，後來講嗰邊又讀到原住民嘅一些同埋出草啊，嗬，非常危險。
So their ancestors they realized that it's quite dangerous. Yeah, so they decide to move in over here because this area is more safe. Second, more important is like well, when their generation is in here. You know, as a Hsinchu, we are famous known as a scientist park for the technology park. Yeah. Like his generation or my generation, pretty much like 99%, we all work in the,
yeah, the science-based industrial park.
Exactly.
In Hsinchu, very famous
and
around the
he
world.
also used to work over there. Yeah.
Oh, really?
He was working there for probably like more than 12 years, something like that. Killing himself.
Yeah.
So he decided to come back.
Chen is one of many coming back to their ancestral tea fields to retire. The amount of tea that Chen grows is more for his own enjoyment than for profit, unlike his father, who was a traditional tea farmer.
1898，
yeah，
最早北部人做嘅提督啦。
北部是啥個？跟腰卡在哪裡呢？
應該嘅，南漢。
南漢 ，see，
Namhan
is it here?
This is this actual
here.
Farmers right here.
Exactly here. And also, my grandpa also from here. I was grow up in here somewhere in this mountain.
那原住民本來帶兩位，然後佢將進落來，呢個唔走，
唔走，you don't go, I push you
away.
Yeah, push you there away. Yes, I'm the one. Now this is my dam. Something like that.
What's fascinating is there are still relics of Chen's family encounters with the local tribes scattered across their tea fields.
Hey, 你買？哎呦，哎呦哎呦！
你要當橋嘅啦，你講同治啊。 同治年間就是1860幾年了。
Yeah, this is a great stone, but also like they was talking. It kind of like represent like a Hakka culture. You see the family tree, right? Yeah. We always need to remember who you are, remember where you came from. This family, their last name is Huang. Okay, and this is a Hai Yi.
right? This is where they came from in the mainland.
In the past, from,
yeah, in
from
the
mainland,
mainland,
from
yes.
mainland.
那新竹里面全部係海風街裏面個，大部分啊。
蠻強勢的。
係啊。
可是其他地方是沒有的。哦。從那個連線一直都大概有40家皇家的。那皇家也都特別啦，因為幾多度了些弄塞夏族葬體嘛，哈。
係啊。
後來因為講互有死傷，哦，不是你死就我活嘛，後來是幾多是講，啊，我們來談判好了。你有蠻談判的，比手腕。
進來啊，該大力士啊。
太壯，該原住民就派了一個也是很壯的，就比手腕，結果搬不下去，後來原住民就遁入深山，離開。那這裡是客家人就一直佔領下來。
The power.
What?
We had the power like this. Yeah, yeah.
Really? They had an arm wrestle?
Exactly, arm wrestle.
It wasn't spears or something?
Yeah, no, at the time, it was so interesting. 嘛，因為安樣，我都想過，那啲只屍體嗬，阿媽好到改變咧，你看阿媽到改埋嚟，夾只台。下來之後，慢慢呢，你當手係談熱到講，人家客家人啦，咁埋原住民用班人。啊，當然咯，歷史係歷史啦，吼，時代係時代。不過，平常先講啦，傳嘅係上啲問題，應該學一下。
For me, the interesting part is how history books seem to have reduced these stories to footnotes. You always read about how the trail is an important artery for Taiwan's export of tea, camphor, and even agricultural products to the rest of the world. The official stories tell us of an industrious supply line running from Dongxi district in Taichung, central south Taiwan, to Taoyuan in the north, where these goods are exported worldwide by sea. It is not often that we find out about the interactions between the different communities along this trail, and how their old conflicts and eventual cooperation enabled Taiwan to develop such an economic lifeline. So far, we've heard stories from the Hakka communities living along the trail. But what about the tribes they share this history with? Heping village in Taichung, to the center of the island, is a point where the different communities have converged for centuries. We get a lead on a poet and author from the Atayal tribe, one of two main cultures who came into close contact with the Hakkas. What would his side of the story be like?
We need this.
上小山头规定是要带这个。对，条路。老师，我有一件事情要问你们，因为我们两个一直在研究我们的樟之细路，外国人就会问说，哎，到底要怎么念呢？听说是由我们达亚的发音跟我们塞夏的这个发音结合的，是不是？
对，我们达亚的念法是 Raknus 没有错。塞夏念法也有库斯的声音。所以我们就把它合并，就变成 Raknus。
因为小路 Selu 它是那个哈嘎，就是客家话嘛，啊，所以就是两边就是我们原住民，还有跟我们的这个客家哈，是以前跟历史关系结合的，所以产生出来的这个樟之细路。
对，而且你们客家在讲 C 路，那个 C 路哈，它不仅只是古道，它也是林产，比如说采樟、抽藤的走的道路，那么走久了之后，后来这个所谓客家的细路，它就有更多的意义，会包括后来我们达亚跟客家人交易东西的一条道路。
One interesting thing we're learning is that this area was known as the Marriage Road, a place of intercultural weddings between Hakkas and the Atayals. But it didn't start out like this.
这个零件 一路上去，跟着林线走的时候，就在你看到那个中间的那个位置，走2条线，一个是往北走，就是往前面的山走。因为古道哦，它有分几种，交易的或者是山产的这个古道，它基本上它不会走林线，它一定是走比较平缓的道路，所以它会比较平。然后第二个，如果是爱永线，爱永线基本上它是为了要阻隔跟控制嘛，所以它是一定是沿着林线走。
When you see the mountain using like a roller coaster, high and down going, that must be because it's for the defense. 可是你刚刚又聊了一件事，我们樟之细路最有趣的是，我今天听到最好玩的，也就是说，这条路不单单是以前的产业道路。樟树的产业更重要的是，它是什么？它是一个结婚之路。这个结婚呢，是地方产业结婚，还有2个民族的结婚。你怎么看待这件事？
早期我们这个地方，包括这个大哥山，当时只是都是我们的生存领域了。就是我可能是来这边打猎了、狩猎了，所以其实我们都是在制高点嘛。
对啊。
所以当客家垦户、闽南垦户进来的时候，他就会扰动我们嘛。
而且以前你们都是在这边狩猎的，被他们来了以后，哇，那我狩猎的环境就没了。
可是2个相对的民族在接壤的时候，他不会永远打仗啊。
对啊。
所以
要结婚呢？
对，他们非得要试图找到有没有可能采取和平的方式。所以在1850年这个记录就有了。大茅埔开始在设庄了之后，经常受到我们达尔的袭击，所以那个时候大茅埔的客家人呢，就想办法做一件事情，和亲。只不过到了日据时期，因为他们要采山上的资源所以在管理原住民跟平地人部分，它其实有一点是采取隔绝的方式。
我知道了，我听说了，就是因为他呢要山上的像樟树的资源，对，他就干脆就变成什么？本来你们是大家和睦共处很好的，对不对？我呢就为了保持这个资源，我要用，我就开始有点树立，把你们稍微分开一点点。
所以我只能够讲，我知道，其实爱永县的设立作为统治我们管理我们原住民，它也相对的隔绝了我们早期曾经有过的
很好的关系，对对，
这个关系被隔绝了。You can smell.
Raknus. 我们在这边，他要帮你拍一张独照，好不好？因为这个是那个樟树，对。
如果你们有稍微注意一下的话，即便在附近的客家庄，说不定你都可以看到他的阿祖，他的祖母。汉人不是人手会画像吗？
对。
你注意看那个他们的祖先，可能那个祖母的部分哦，有纹面哦。
Yes。这是你姨婆，但是她穿的是日本服装，
但更重要，她是客家人。
她是客家人，你的姨婆是客家人，
我阿嬷就客家人嘛。
你阿嬷是客家人？
对啊，
真的哦。
对啊。
OK，
You can tell something about the conditions, the costumes they were wearing. Now, some of his ancestors still had tribal markings, tattoos on their head and arm, on their faces, on their arms. All right, that instantly tells me something. And then Wallace would zoom in and focus on I think it was his maternal grandmother, who married Hakka persons, which Danny seized upon that they could kind of commune through that channel.
我对我来讲哦，我学一下嘛呢，加家谱的客家人，然后基本上谈到各种嘢学一下，然后又想到我先买写诗嘅，我公开嘅历史吼，是当到现代嘅嘛的原住民朋友来living年代，这个是表示讲，当久以前呐，嘅原住民到客家人 虽然讲马沙线来、马沙后来，搿一天为到你大嘅地方，一天有问题嘅。可是你嘅解决嘅问题吼，当到唔系按他理下啲嘅时，变来变去，打来打去，唔系哦，叫做冇可能嘅方式。韩国买呢，结婚是表示讲原住民啦，按他客家人穷下，为到穷下，你只地方按他大家都穷下，啊就你穷下，你两家是对我来讲嘅，我错别看到佢在讲嘅时啊，吼，佢喺讲，我嘛係客家人呀，嗰種嘅時，你兩家是變到當有意思的概念。
What is it like to grow up in an intercultural family? And how does that experience translate in our modern times? We turn our attention to the other tribe sharing the region with the Hakas, and chance upon a young lady who has spent the last few years building a digital archive of her tribe's oral histories. She is also the face of the bond between Hakas and the local tribes, being born to a Haka mother and a Sasayat father.
賽下，錯啊吼，該你係按他到底，像按他去扮演兒童班，向他賽下。
我們都演嗎？
係啊係啊。
賽下的。
賽下的，你客家味道，你主語稱按你會啊？
不是。
沒有一點點，都只會聽唐也聲，但是講的就沒有那麼好。
OK， 個咋會唐也聲呢？啊，
小時候，我媽媽其實是客家人。
我媽媽是客家人，媽媽係客家人。
對，媽媽客家，爸爸是賽夏這樣。我高中的時候就到台北讀書了，然後前陣子剛畢業，求學階段就開始慢慢回來，會找老人家聊天這樣。
就會開始想到將來啦，前年代嘅埋嘅長輩來聊天咯，哈。
對啊。原本的出發點就是自己想要知道我們家族的故事。那為什麼想要做成一種讓大家都知道這件事情？因為是要讓更多人認識我們啦，甚至是可能經過我們新竹苗栗，可以知道說我們賽夏在這個地方也是有非常深厚的文化底蘊。對啊，不是只有客家人。
Using the oral histories collected from tribal elders, Herwen pieced together a map of her ancestors' old settlements and their connecting roads. Now, she is bringing us to pay respects to old relatives she is connected with along her journey.
我嗱問你嚇，從你因為你讀書嘅時候，你來到的嚇，我發覺到哦，很神奇。可是等你這個來行呢條路嘅時候，因為你定你係千百人祖先人家都會事情嘅個故事嘛，係嘛嚇。然後你這個來行呢條路，阿伯同你來行嘅時候，你感覺係點樣？
哇，我感覺很複雜。很複雜。有點像是我沒有見過阿爸口中的老人家，可是你又會覺得我是來，雖然我走在路上，看到的是土、竹子，就是這些植物，可是你覺得我在跟老人家碰面的感覺。是以前居住過的一個脈絡。以前這裡都有好幾個。
You see this? Which means this is a platform. You know, so that has people used to living here. Yeah, so otherwise it was just like a mountain. You know, it's very rough. But this is the level in here. Yeah.
他們最後確定都是在那裡面那個角落那裡。
哦，佢這個半島地位對了。
對，因為那聽說是水源的問題，而且沒有好耕種，已經靠山頂了。
係客家人啊？
沒，他們的家族。
我的祖先。
哦，是啊。
對。
Kerwin's father passed away a couple years ago. She realized that, you know, there's no one she can ask directly. Yeah, so that's what.
So you have to find
she think about she has to find other relative. Yeah, so like an uncle, you know, if she's not gonna, you know, ask them, you know that what happened, you know, later nobody know, right?
Right.
”
因为我们这个原住民赛夏族是最崇拜祖先，跟客家人也很相近，很接近。对，所以我们有什么事情就是拜托祖灵，给老天讲啊。 这样。
这就是为什么我觉得我回来是在见达迪尼，因为我们知道这个土地是有老人家的。
对呀，对。所以啊，ก็ใครตามตัดที่นี่ไม่เอามาในนี่ก็ใส่ให้ตัดที่นี่ตัดต่อให้ตัดสเปซนักไปตามเวลาว่านักตัวมันมวยคนนี้มันตัดที่นี่นักที่นี่มาหันเนี่ยก็假如说我有门不认识你们，就某某人就来个主人请教他们一起来。
然后也告知达迪尼我们今天来的目的是什么？我们是没有恶意的，对，来寻找我们的故事。
名叫韩国的。
对呀。
这张图是在还没走之前，我们根据阿爸的口述历史，我先模拟出来的路。真的走的话，就是会有根据，对，像某一些点位，我就一定会就是GPS。
Like what I see is that the environment is pretty rough. It's not easy to survive in this area. So what I imagine is like maybe your ancestors or your parents even, when they decide to coexist like this and get married, to intermarry as well. This is a matter of survival as well, because the Hakka people have some ingenuity or access to markets, and the indigenous people have the land and can work the land. And you need to get this product from here into here, and you guys can kind of help. And you know, do you feel that there was much more sort of cooperation going on because of the necessity of survival?
对，就是生活在这个土地上。其实不要说我们这个世代了，我爸爸妈妈那个世代，我爸爸妈妈自己就是客家人跟陕西的结合嘛，所以其实，在他们上一辈，这个观念就已经开始在慢慢反转了。那我觉得对我们这一辈来讲，我觉得最重要的是，就是我刚刚提到的历史史实这件事情，它该怎么发生，不要去误导或试图去引导说哪一个族群是赢的，哪一个族群是被打败的。我觉得不是，我们要去理解什么叫历史史实，因为走了这个计划，然后跟比较多自己在些的老人家，去理解他们的口述历史，你才会知道说，那个情感是很复杂的。虽然我们过去的历史是一种可能是比较多冲突，可是近代我们文化融合，它是个事实。那过去的事情，我们就把它当作是历史来理解。理解之后，我们就不要重蹈覆辙吧。
What does the trail hold for the next generation, if history is but a reminder of what not to repeat? And what can I shoot for our book that will suggest what this future may look like? Danny and I head to a local landmark known as the Blue House, where a gentleman nicknamed the Lizard is bringing awareness to another community who live alongside the Hakkas and local tribes.
我们现在把生物找到正确的位置。譬如说，它在会飞的，好，这边在树梢上的。接下来你给我发现这里面很多关联。
The Blue House, Mr. D had the nickname of the Hakka.
Yeah. Samgyeo.
Samgyeo. Yes, good.
And Mr. Lizard has devised his own method to help students learn more about the creatures that share the trail with humans.
Your answer is?
I thought it.
For me, I would say that it's a game. Yeah, and also with the knowledge, environment, Hakka, and local culture mixed together.
It's also teaching about nature at the same time, right?
Right. So that's why for me it's very impressive. It's the game, yeah.
It's more than just a classroom activity, however. Mr. Lizard constantly takes his students on walking tours to help them understand how the natural world is deeply entwined with their Hakka heritage.
同学，你们要猜一下，
你看这个人扛得那么辛苦，你觉得这2大包是什么东西？行李。
稻米茶叶。
我跟你说，我们狮潭这边以前有茶的产业，所以这一定那么大包一定是茶叶。哇！没有马路之前，这边是有挑夫的。所以呢，今天我们要走的是民丰古道。我们这个民丰古道路口一路走到东势，往南到东势，往北可以走到山坑老街。
That section of trail was very well mapped out, enjoyable, and considering it wasn't too long, of course, a little bit taxing at times, but there was a lot to see along the way. And the thing about Mr. Lee Lizard is that he would stop and point out things that I would have just walked straight past, like there was a spider.
这一只，为什么他要弄那个叉？你知道为什么吗？其实弄那个东西是因为要把它蜘蛛的形象打破，让别的虫不小心就撞上去，它就有食物吃了，懂吗？那个叉是这个用意哦。来，你们看这个竹子，客家话你有搞，听你吗？
我知道。
做给，要做给，还有没有一钳的？看到吗？一钳的，有看到？一签的有没有？跟竹子有没有一样？竹子是直直的啊。国语会怎么讲它？像什么身材？对，所以它叫葫芦竹。国语葫芦竹。
If you just talk about what kind of bamboo is it? Maybe it's just okay. That's another, like a knowledge or science or whatsoever. But when you start talking about the Haga, spatial word.
客语怎么叫你知道吗？跟着我念哦，贵念走。
Then you think, the pronunciation is interesting. Then start from there, you will realize that, then what? Then he started talking about why have this name, why the story come, and then at the end go back to this bamboo, why it's so unusual.
因为客家人认为这种竹子就是跟正常的不一样，很难解释，就把它推成是鬼捏过的竹子。
从你安用到个行的世界上哈，对你底下来讲啊哈，你知道哈，记了菜体的文化哈，有乜嘅好连接的地方啊？
按你讲，养山好的东西哦，看过以后，其实全部都有条百年生活的痕迹啊，有冇？像你看那个哦，很多就有油桐花咩啊，咩条百年去其种子种嘅咩，哦，但佢种就会做嘛，要做我去做笋啊，哦，有冇？一当到就可以到也先民做当到，特别做一个梯田的，沙薄，全部都人可以到，哦，地边没有油茶盐啊，全部做跟客家嘅生活，要讲日常生活的全部都有关啊。
虽然讲嘅话，你都该行那些做该的导览那些吼，你是不是老记得讲你都有事情是错嘅？
错。
Nature is not the only facet of life along the historic trail. The Hakas have a spiritual connection with the land that they express through ritual. So, beyond uncovering stories hidden within the natural environment, I want to document how the early Hakka settlers attempted to bridge the physical world with the spirits of the wilderness.
Hey, hello， 老师你好。
你
好。
We meet a local expert who has spent the last few years tracking down a unique structure that Hakkas always build, no matter where they go. He brings us to his hunting ground, along what remains of a trade road built by China's last imperial dynasty.
老师啊，我想问呀，因为以前讲罗贯路嘛，错啊哈，
佢前公司9年，183年噶哈，太湖到大浪之间哈，因为不管係運糧啦，是嗰一家下要度有一片係漢人，一片原住民。
Did you see this tunnel? It's a bamboo tunnel.
Wow.
And all the way we're coming over here.
Landscape.
Yeah, landscape start to change. And the main road number 3 is still there.
On that side?
Yeah. The old trail is there.
This
and
is
now we
the
go.
Old trail still.
Yeah.
Still. That we're going along? Okay.
The bamboo forest hides many of the early Hakka secrets to surviving the harshness of the highlands.
I like it.
But what we are looking for lies just outside.
Bắc Công吼，留人先民的开发吼，相关性同高。因客家人较慢来，大部分都喺度山区。那山区吼，唔到离到一只藏区啊吼，当然的路。故所无乜嘅太庙。啊，唔先到一只地方，一定心肝不安，不驚。哦，故所呢，開發到呢，就到福順也樹下就呢一隻北宮，早晨安布來拜，祈求也心靈上嘅安慰。哦，講北宮會保佑我，嚟到一開發會順遂，身體會健康。
老師啊，聽講啊，你對北宮嘅研究嗬，當多啊嗬，但係咱沒有嚟呢隻地方嗬，聽講啊。是只因啊客家莊田啊，嗬，嘅北宮廟，差唔多要你講你只客家莊要幾多年啊？聽講嘅客家莊咩安排？可是北宮廟要238座，238座，334尊北宮。
So then, in the case of this particular trail, and especially this section of the trail where we have the indigenous tribes and the Hakka people sometimes fighting each other. It's a dangerous place. Is that why there are so many here?
可能有多少？不過吼，我掃地啊，先重要。行呢就講，我來到啊啲理想環境，吼，來到一個安全嘅偏僻嘅地方咧，哦，無太咩好拜，因為漢人吼，就一直主要安尼拜神明嘅一種嘅風俗習慣。故所我想講。無太咩好拜，做福順，做樹下也好，太實也好，那種樹太有神也好，一神明就保佑我全家。
I soon realized that Pakong shrines don't always have a fixed shape or structure.
當講嗬，像我嘅朋友來呢邊咧，讓協裝上嗬，將嘢必要，那大家平平安安、順順利利，希望感謝。
这个就是大概130年前、140年前，到现在都没有改建过。就是放那个放祭品的，就那么小。
Pang tells us that the next Pakong shrine we'll see deeply reflects the history of the trail itself.
你係種樹喎，係種樹，你幾多年咧？
可能100公年有嘅啦。
哦，100公年，然後你又跟埋嚟。I am看嘢吧，嗬！你只北宮要幾多年呢？你比睇先，嗰只北宮差唔多
130年，
嗰兩隻北宮嘅時間差唔多。北宮對佢報道樹嘅地位度呢，按當然8個年下來，直到呢片土地空咗，客家人過來以後，嗱老年出面嘅朋友，香港你啊當到新時代，我嘅朋友強下來到台灣以下呢隻地方呢。大家對大家嘅東西都最尾包容到強啊！就像人家曾看到，計埋咧樟樹啊，你啊幾隻男人人家嘅白講，啊佢男到佢嘅都市地位都係嗰種嘅感覺。
There is more than just the intertwining of history that draws people to the trail. Many of the old families who used to live along the pathways are now setting roots here once more. Like Zhang, who has moved back to his ancestral home amidst the old tea fields. As a member of the Society of Wilderness, Zhang now works to help preserve the natural environment along the trail that runs through his family estate.
睇到啲蘿蔔嘅嚇，嗌媽媽，嗌爸爸，嗌公，嗌婆。哦，你係冇係講 日间
is here. Yep, like that doorway.
Exactly. 对。
The parents and the grandparents. 啊，可能你的相片底下可能有种茶面啊。你种茶面，你要不看伊呢？
我妈妈，我这个都。我妈妈个
picking the tea.
Yeah, picking the tea.
Wow.
Zhang has even called together all 4 generations of his family for a meal, allowing me insights to Hakka traditional home cooking.
It's a very iconic Hakka cuisine, Hakka food, and especially you have to see this one because they're made from the rice. They use the old traditional way, you know, because when first they ground it and then they put in the water and then they just squeeze it. Squeeze the water out.
Get the water out.
Begin like this. Yes.
Right.
The younger generations of Zhang's family grew up in cities such as Taipei. But his neighbors, like him, have lived their childhoods here.
You have to be fit to live in this.
这里一条路，这是老路，以前是走这里，一直下去，前面有一个煤矿，然后我的 grandma 的家里是在山上，在五指山，所以我们常常走。因为那时候没有叫樟之细路，就是我们生活的路。以前我们在乡下的客家人，他一生的生活的范围不会超过25公里。
But you could see that in the photographs actually, that everything is happening
no
around the.
In the time.
Well, it's before time, so it's, yeah.
What's more interesting is finding out how an industry that is supposed to be past its heyday is still alive as a family tradition.
This is a camphor.
Right.
Smell it.
This is the famous Raknus.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Fresh.
So, 你系啱冇嘅？
啱冇。
這個是 3 generation， 三代人。
誒，4代人，阿爸阿三代嘛，阿公嘛。
哦，阿公，哎呀。
The family has been involved in the camphor trade for over 100 years. Now they are preparing to breathe new life into the old business.
Student, right?
Yes.
Is it university or college?
大学.
Oh, 大学. Oh, so what are you studying at university?
Cosmetics.
Would you want to have a shop in Tokyo or in Seoul or something?
Maybe Europe.
Oh, maybe Europe. Okay, because you speak English.
They are all giving me precious photo opportunities. But before we finish our exploration of the Raknus Selu Trail, however, we make one last stop at a part of the path that is still in the process of being restored, to document the kind of work that still needs to be done to revive this historic route for the public.
So these are the marker stones, right, where it says RSA 59 is this section of the trail.
Right.
我们真的是希望比较 push， 就是第一个，把环境保成自然荒野。
OK。
那第二个就是来参加的人，或是想来走的人，都可以有一个我们叫做领路人然后带他进来这个环境，然后第一个是他行走可以很安全，第二个是领路人，他可以讲很多有关于生态上的、文化上的、环境面上的东西，可以用当地的人讲当地的故事。
So we've got a fallen tree here.
Yeah. 李大哥，你现在在做什么？
这趟出来其实除了陪你们走以外，我另外一个工作是必须记录樟之细路上222公里里面所有路段里面有的状况，像现在这个是倒木
，yes，
所以我会在我的卫星定位上 mark 出来。
要怎么来维护？那这是其中的一个部分嘛，工作。
对，这是今年
他赋予我们任务，就是要走4季，
每一季 record 发生什么事，长是什么样状况。
第3季我们会来设就是你在其他路段看到
确定的那个
菱形的那个。
Tough section, that.
Well,
that was a pretty tough bit of trek.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Actually.
Yeah. I think they still have a lot of work to do, but also.
No, but in a way, you don't want to destroy the special character.
Right. So kind of so that's why we were on the way. We kind of discovered, that also has so many try to learn from the different country. For example, like Japan, Korean, and also New Zealand, Holiday. And even though we see this kind of a forgotten treasure, we really want to let people know, but we don't want to be too over-commercial.
What exactly do we have to say about the trail ourselves, having met so many different people along the journey? How do we translate our experiences into pictures for others who want to find out more?
Everywhere you go, you got the markers. Every 200 meters, right? Some sort of sign. And that was, we walked through that trail, right? And that was, the floor was covered with tom blossoms. So I hung back a little bit to get this shot. That's it, actually. We've already gone through 83 pictures already. There's so many more. I just had to do a quick selection. Yeah, what do you think about it?
Be honest, before I come in or join this, project, I was thinking about, okay, I'm the Hakka, I knew this, it's fine, it's nearby my old house, something like that. Then I realized, no, not just like that. Secondly, I just more appreciate when I look back to my family, the, all the thing going on with this trail.
Do you think that there's a new kind of Hakka personality that's formed in Taiwan because of the specific landscape?
Because you need to get survive.
Yes.
So you find your potential. At that time, the environment always changed. Only thing you had to get survive is go to the mountain. For my generation, we only read from the book, talk about how hard it's in the past, Never thought about how difficult my grandparents, they had to get survive.
So we have to act fast or you have to act fast to record as much as you can of the stories.
I really realized that yes, we need to do something.
What we do next should not just be a rehash of old stories and ideas. After all, this would not be very much in line with what I've learned about the Hakkas.
要绕开哦！
哎呦，看到吗？哇！他讲嘢，那就老千迈道理下嘛，应变，去到那边呢，天然便利的事情吼，所以对我来讲吼，你也当神奇的啦。
We have come back to one of the first places we visited at the start of our journey. This time, we've brought along someone who is not connected to the trail in any way at all.
我平常画画的话，我喜欢安静的，就是一个人的时候，我会想要就是先看一下哪一些东西是我喜欢的这样子，然后沉浸在里面。
了解一下。
对。
Audrey is not Hakka. We are wondering if she and others like her might see the trail in a different way.
我的感受，因为我就是觉得说艺术啊，其实就是生活。
生活。
因为对，就是只是要观察，因为像你刚刚说这个路是以前古人就是很常在走的，对他们来说其实很习以为常，就是一条交易的路嘛。我觉得这个它的历史的故事啊，就是丰富了这条路，就是去看了这个了解背后的故事后，你就会觉得这条路虽然只有短短的不到30分钟，但是你就会觉得，它的故事让这条路很热闹。
对。